How is it going, everyone? It's Caleb Limited here, and today we're going to be talking about a superhero video game on the PlayStation 2, and that game is Spawn Armageddon. I would say that I am a casual Spawn fan. I really like the hero. I like the idea of him. He's kind of like an anti-hero, really. He's definitely not your typical good guy. He does a lot more BA things than Superman or Batman or, any sort of Marvel hero like Captain America. Spawn is a different beast altogether. He's a lot more violent. He's a lot less caring about morals and stuff like that. And frankly, he's just a really cool hero. I've read some of the comics. I've read the first issue when they re-released it. I've read somewhere in the 290s, I think, past 300 a little bit. I've read some of the spin-off ones. There's She-Spawn or whatever it's called. I've read that. I've read a little bit of Gunslinger Spawn, and I've read just some of the other comics like that. And I've seen the old movie, and I really like the old movie. So I would say I'm more of a casual fan of Spawn because I am familiar with the character. I like the story. I just haven't read every single bit of thing that there is to know or read about Spawn, But I still think he's a really cool guy. I still think he's a really cool superhero. And this video game, I was pretty excited for because Spawn would make an awesome video game, you would think. Unfortunately, this ain't it. This is not a great video game. This is unfortunately a pretty lackluster video game. I don't know what I was expecting, honestly. I guess I was just expecting it to be a little bit better. I mean, you're playing as Spawn, for Pete's sake, There's some cool ideas here. The combat is very much a hack and slash style combat. It's very much, just very repetitive. Beat down your enemies, go to the next area, beat down more enemies, go to the next area. It's very much just like that. Very repetitive, and it does kind of get old rather quickly. After the first 2 or 3 hours in this game, I was kind of just wanting the game to be over, honestly, because it was just the same thing over and over again. And they do try to throw some things in to at least make it more than just, hacking and slashing at enemies with an axe. You do get to use Spawn's chains, which that's kind of cool. And you also get to pick up a bunch of guns, which is one of the things I love about Spawn, is that he has no remorse when it comes to using guns. He'll pick up a shotgun, he'll use it. In this game, he picks up dual-wield SMGs, dual-wield pistols, picks up rocket launchers. That's one thing I really like about Spawn, and they did a good job of bringing that over to the video game. You get to use a ton of different guns, a ton of different weapons, and it's really cool to see Spawn use that stuff. And it's cool to be able to swap to any of it on the fly, too. I really like that. And you do get to have some special abilities as Spawn as well, including things like little, necro bombs, where you can basically, shoot out, necroplasm, I think is what it's called, and you can do a lot of damage using that. So they, like I said, they try to mix some things into it. However, it's just so repetitive with the combat, and the levels aren't that well designed. The levels aren't designed well enough to really justify the combat. If the levels were designed better, I think I could get over the fact that it was repetitive. But a lot of the times, it's just the same thing over and over again, where it's just beat up the enemies, go to the next area, beat up the enemies, go to the next area, beat up the enemies, go to the next area, and there's no real mission. There doesn't really happen to be a real mission in this game until, the second to last mission, where you're required to destroy generators. But for the most part, it really is just destroying things and then going to the next area. Sometimes you'll be able to, break a electric box or something like that, and then it just go to the next area. I think one thing that honestly would have helped this game a lot is if this game would have been more like Batman Arkham City. Imagine a Spawn video game in a big open city where you can just run around and do quests that way. That would be awesome. But this game is very linear. It's stuck on a path, and there's not really much exploration or anything. There's some secret areas, and you can find comic covers in these secret areas and collect those, but it's just not enough to make the game more interesting. And I really wish that the beat-em-up style, the hack-and-slash style, I wish that there was more options for actual attacks, because you don't have hardly any different melee attacks. It's pretty much the same combo over and over and over again, and you can also slam your axe into the ground. That's about it. So it struggles with its repetitiveness so much, and that's the biggest flaw with this game. There are some other issues, such as the story kind of being incoherent because it's very patched together. You gotta think that this video game is about 4 to 5 hours long, and this game is supposed to cover basically issues 1 through 99 of the comics, so that's not a lot of time to cover that much ground. So because of that, there's a lot packed into this, and it feels very patchy because of it, so that's not great either. The actual graphics of this game aren't too bad. I think that they're probably like mid-range on a PS2. I like the way Spawn looks. I like the design of all the enemies. The enemies all look cool. The bosses and everything. I think for the most part the boss fights are pretty fun. The only time I didn't like the boss fights are when they started spawning like a bunch of minions around them, and then you have to deal with the minions and the boss. I always find that a little bit annoying. However, for the most part, I still enjoyed the boss fights. I thought they were probably the best part of the game, if I'm being honest, because that was the one time where it felt like you were trying to do something different, like you were trying to, use Spawn's chains and grab onto ledges and stuff using them, and you're trying to jump around the map and avoid the floor, basically playing the floor as lava while trying to shoot a boss and everything. Like, that was fun. And I honestly wish there was more of that in this game, because trying to jump around and avoid hazards, on the map and everything while trying to fight a giant boss, that was actually really cool, and that's something I actually did enjoy about this game. In each level, you do collect XP, and you can use the XP to actually upgrade Spawn in between missions, and you're going to definitely want to do that. You can either upgrade his health, you can upgrade his superpowers, you can upgrade his strength of his guns, you can buy ammo with the XP. Honestly, the thing that you should really focus on, though, is HP and the superpowers, because you really need to upgrade both of those if you want to beat this game easily, because this game is not easy. I will say, this is actually a really difficult game, and part of that is because the enemies just don't drop health often enough. I think they should actually drop health a little bit more. You can still have this game be a little bit difficult, but still have the enemies drop health at least every now and then, because you can go on long stretches without getting a single bit of your health back in this game, and there's no superpower to regain it that I could find, at least. So that was definitely frustrating as well. Anywho, I've talked a lot bad about this game. It's not all bad, though. It isn't all bad. I do like, even though I'm not a big fan of the level design itself, I do like a lot of the settings. The settings are cool. Going around in this underground subway is cool. Going around, and you actually get to jump around hell at one point, and you get to escape hell and everything. That stuff's cool. The only problem with some of the later levels when it comes to the environments, and, they may look cool and stuff like that, the one thing you don't want to do, though, is that even though these levels look cool, you don't want to be really far into a level and then have to restart from the beginning. And unfortunately, there's no checkpoints in this game. So there's one point that I almost stopped playing when this happened, because I actually didn't want to even replay the level because it was so tedious and so annoying. The second to last level in this game, you have to break all of these little generators, and if you break all of them, they're all hidden throughout the entire area. You have to go around, break all of them, and when you do that, it will let you go to an upper level. Then in the upper level, you have to find 2 more generators. You break those, and once you do that, it will finally open the final area, and it will basically just be waves after waves of enemies coming at you, and you have to try to survive and defeat every enemy. The problem is, though, is that you have to go and find all of this stuff, so it's very time-consuming if you're doing this without a guide. So I'm doing this without a guide. I'm trying to find all these generators and everything. Finally find everything after, I think I spent an hour in this mission just trying to find all the generators and everything, fighting bosses, had hardly any health left. I fought 4 waves of enemies. I'm like, okay, this has got to be it. Another wave came in, and I had, just a scratch of health left. And yeah, I got smacked. And no checkpoints. So I lost an hour of progress on one mission because there's no checkpoints. That was it. That was basically the point where I said, okay, this is not a good game. Beforehand, I was going to be like, you know what? This game is a little slightly above average, but when that happened, that was the point where I got sour. I turned bitter. I was just like, no, this game's just okay. It's not the worst game in the world, but it's way too repetitive, and it definitely has some major design flaws. Unfortunately for the Spawn franchise, there's not a whole lot of Spawn video games out there, and from what I've read, a lot of people say that this is unfortunately one of the better Spawn games. So that doesn't give me a whole lot of hope for the other Spawn games. But if you have any recommendations for other Spawn games, leave them down in the comments below. Let me know if there's any other one that's worth it. I wish this one would have been good, but unfortunately it's not. And the thing is I can't even recommend this as a budget title because this isn't a budget title. You know, I consider a budget game like, 10 to 15 bucks and under, basically. This game costs almost $30, pre-owned, obviously, because it's PS2, but for 30 bucks, you are getting a very repetitive game that has a lot of issues, so I cannot recommend it, because it's too pricey for what it is, and it's not good enough. If you happen to find it just like for really cheap at a thrift store or a flea market or something, maybe pick it up then, but this game is not worth even what I paid for it. Like, I think I paid 30 bucks for it complete in box, and like, I don't regret it because I enjoyed my time with the game, and I always enjoy reviewing video games for you guys and just, reviewing games in general. It's one of my hobbies that I enjoy doing, and I was wanting to see more Spawn. I was wanting to play more Spawn and just enjoy more of the Spawn world and the story, but I can definitely say that it's not worth $30. Either way, though, I can't recommend this, not even for hardcore Spawn fans. I'm just a casual fan, but I don't recommend this for casual fans. I don't think that even hardcore fans are really going to like it that much. You may try it if you're a hardcore fan, but most likely, if you are, you've probably already played it at some point. But either way, that's where I'm going to leave this video. It's not worth it unless you can find it for a really good deal at a thrift store or a flea market. Do not pay the regular going price for it. Not worth it. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe button down below, and I will see you in the next video. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.